Hello and welcome to Wisconsin in Focus, powered by the Center Square. I'm Dan McCaleb, executive editor of the Center Square Newswire service. Joining me today is the Center Square's Wisconsin correspondent, Ben Yount. How are you, Ben?
I cannot believe that we are almost halfway through the month of August. Good news, kids start school, one fewer body sleeping on a couch in my house at noon, so I am thrilled to death.
Well, congratulations to that. I'm actually, both of my kids are college age. I'll be driving my daughter down to Texas late next week, to Huntsville, Texas, as a matter of fact, where she goes to school. And it's a long drive, but and not looking forward to the 100-degree weather down there, Ben.
Is there a Buc-ee's? Have you been to a Buc-ee's?
I have been to a Buc-ee's, yes. Personally, I think the Buc-ee's down there, they're a little overrated because every time I visit my daughter in Texas, someone wants to go to Buc-ee's, and I'm like, come on. It's a truck stop.
It is a wonderful cornucopia of beef jerky, fudge, and the really good soft ice nuggets. So yes, while some may say it is a truck stop, others say it is the bounty of American consumers.
All right. I won't argue with you there on that, Ben. We are recording this on Thursday, August 10th. Ben, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers is calling legislators back to Madison for a special session. But Republican lawmakers are pushing back against that. First, why did Evers call legislators back to session at the state capitol? And why are Republicans balking at the matter?
This is the ongoing second half of Wisconsin's state budget. Just a little bit of Wisconsin Civics 101. Here we do 2-year state budgets. So every odd year is a busy year at the state capitol in Madison. Lawmakers come back. There's all manners of hearings. And in addition to, creating the regular sort of laws, the one that's getting a lot of attention that we'll probably talk about next week, Culver's wants different rules for DoorDash, but that's another episode of Wisconsin in Focus. So every spring in the odd year, the Wisconsin legislature passes a budget. For the past 12-something years, Republicans have controlled that process because the Republican legislature decides what we're going to spend. They used to send it to Republican Governor Scott Walker. Now they've been sending it to Democratic Governor Tony Evers, and the governor gets to decide what he wants to cut out and what he wants to keep. The governor this year cut out what would have been a substantial tax cut, $4 billion for most middle-class families, all the way from $25,000 all the way up to $400-something thousand. The governor vetoed that out, and that set off this clash. The animosity between Republicans and the Democratic governor took a step up. That happened back in June. Here earlier this week, the governor said he wanted lawmakers to come back and take a second crack at the state budget. Specifically, what he wants is about $350 million for child care workers, child care centers in Wisconsin. That money was federal money. When the coronavirus hit, Congress approved buckets and buckets and buckets of cash that included an extra payment to child care providers. Once the coronavirus emergency ended, that money went away. Republicans refused to replace that money in the state budget. The governor has called it a cut to child care. Republicans say it's simply not an expansion of government. So the governor really wants lawmakers to come back and do that, prove that $365 million. He knows they wouldn't do that on its face, so he's asking for a workforce development plan that would spend $1 billion. Remember, Wisconsin has about $4 billion in reserve for its surplus. That was the money that was going to go to the tax increase. And so because Republicans don't want to spend what they say is the people's money, they are refusing to do so. The governor, because he wants to spend some of that surplus, is refusing to sign a tax increase that would give it back to the people. And here we are now with this. Essentially, the governor can call a special session. Lawmakers have to come back to the Capitol, but they don't have to do anything. They can come in, they can sit down in their chairs, they will tap the gavel, and they will leave. It will last all of about 35 seconds. We've done this a dozen times before, and that's exactly what's going to happen when this special session happens. So the governor can call all of these that he wants, and Republicans can ignore them all they want, which is one of the reasons why the Assembly Speaker correctly said this is a stunt.
So it sounds like to me this is essentially all for political show.
Yes. Yeah. The governor wants to, again, keep his promises that he told these child care workers, these child care centers, hey, I'm going to take care of you. And because, and it gets way, if you thought that was sort of inside baseball, the conversation as to how trust broke down at the Capitol, it goes back 4 years. It goes back to Act 10 in 2011, honestly. And there's just been an awful lot of mistrust and distrust at the Capitol. This is posturing on both sides. It's sort of a pox on both houses. No one comes out of here looking like the White Knight. And the governor is going to try and boost what is, his base by saying, look at what we're trying to do. We're trying to get this money, these hardworking child care centers, trying to help out these hardworking families. And the question for Republicans is, how do they respond in kind? They have usually just ignored these, come in again, gavel, and go. There are some conservatives in the state who want the Republican legislature, Senate and Assembly, to take this opportunity to repass that tax cut, to once again vote in favor of a tax cut that would give millions of people in Wisconsin some of their own money back, and then force the governor to veto it again and again and again and again. The idea being that, okay, if you want to play this game, we'll play this game with you because we have a card to play as well. That really is the only part of this that remains to be seen. I remember from back in my Illinois days, Rod Blagojevich did this one summer where he called special session after special session after special session, and the Democratic legislature at the time disagreed with the Democratic governor and would do the same thing, gavel in, gavel out, gavel in, gavel out. And it really became repetitive. And if you think that a lot of people sort of glaze their eyes over when you start talking about the specifics of state government, this is one of the reasons why, because it is kind of for show. It is all about politics, and nothing at the end of the day, nothing is going to change, and nothing frustrates people who are listening to the news or reading the news. Then, so nothing's changed. Okay, thanks. Great. Click.
Don't have much time left, Ben, but this political game that's being played, I assume there's a taxpayer cost when you call lawmakers back to the Capitol, travel costs, per diem costs, et cetera, like that. So the game is a little bit of, it's compared to the whole Wisconsin state budget. It might not seem like that much. I
will have to do that calculation. I'll have to look and see, because a lot of it also depends on just who shows up. Staff costs are usually about this. And we're talking some rather substantial money. Again, from the Illinois days, the prices, and this was 10, 15 years ago, were about $40,000 a day just to sort of reactivate the Capitol, because it's not just lawmakers, it's security guards, it's staffers in the House or the Assembly and the Senate. So you know what? That is a good idea. I'm going to have that price tag for you the next time we write this story.
Great. Thank you. I'm sure our listeners and readers at thecentersquare.com would be interested in that too. But that is all the time we have, Ben. For Ben Yout, I'm Dan McCaleb. Please subscribe. Thank you for listening.